Hi everybody, my name is JB, Capto coach. I'm a PGA professional from the Netherlands, a Capto expert, also director of Capto e-learning. I'm specialized in putting and short game. I do a lot of workshops around the world, teaching coaches how to work with Capto and putting and how to improve their players on the greens.
Hey everyone, I'm Iain Highfield. I am the owner of a company called Game Like Training, where I help people think more effectively and practice more effectively. I'm also director of mental performance at the Ledbetter Golf Academy, and I'm also the US distributor of Capto putting systems. Today, myself and JB, we have a goal where we don't just want to talk about Capto, the unit. We want to talk about Capto and how it can be used to create the most effective learning experience for the golfer, and then also how it can be used in certain environments that can help the coach create a more performance-orientated environment and get more accurate data. So ultimately, we don't want to see Capto as a measuring tool. We want to see Capto as a human learning and human performance tool. So myself and JB, we had a discussion offline a few weeks ago about how he's assessing players. I discussed how I've been assessing players, and we just kind of thought together, hey, this would be cool to put some content out. So JB, I'm going to hand it back over to you. If you want to open up, share a little bit about that discussion, how you assess players, and then I'll build a little bit on it from a human learning standpoint.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you cut to the chase right away, and I love that. It's a lot of putting devices out there. They're only suitable for block practice, or they only work in a controlled environment. And especially you want to see the players in their playing environment and see how they perform over there. So the way I see using Capto is kind of, it helps you build technical skill. It helps you build performance skill. So as a putting coach, my first assessment would probably be more from a technical approach. I can imagine that you will probably be less interested in the technical part of the player, and you just want to know, as a performance coach, you just want to know what the player performs. So one thing that I like to do with players, especially when I get a new player, is go out on the green. I don't like to be indoors. I think golf is played outdoors on sloping greens with undulations. I don't think you want to check putting somewhere on an indoor on a perfectly flat surface. I'm not saying that is not a good way to go. It absolutely helps. My point that I want to make here is that if that is the only thing that you measure, then I think you're painting only part of the picture of the player. So you have a static assessment, and you have more random uncontrolled assessment. So my first assessment would be probably be static, but still outside on the putting green. We're going to share an image on this one as well. I let them play a 3-footer, 6-footer, 10-footer from different directions, and I asked them to play that round of 3 putts 3 times, and then you play 1 extra putt, giving you 10 putts, but 10 different putts, usually on a flat green, and that gives, in my opinion, a better assessment of what the player is doing in a relatively static environment. So that would be part 1 for me, and that's more from a technical point of view.
Yeah, and when we spoke about this, sorry, I was just taking notes and I was looking at our conversation on my phone, just so I don't miss anything. When you asked me, like, hey, Iain, how do you assess players? I was like, I go play golf.
Yeah,
no,
awesome.
The Capto will be put onto the putter and we go play. And then what I would do is they're playing a challenge or a game. It may have something to do with putting, it may not. But ultimately, there'll be a 9-hole challenge, and that will involve some form of getting the ball in the hole with certain constraints. And then on every green, I'll ask them to hit an extra putt or 2 putts. So like maybe it's a 45-foot uphill left to right. Maybe it's a 20-foot downhill, down green, right to left. I'll pick very varying putts, and I'll write down what kind of putt it was, and then I'll capture the data from the Capto in that environment. So I'll come off with around, if they've played golf, let's say they 2-putt every hole, there's 18 putts, and then another probably, maybe even another 18 if their first putt's not good, or if I give them an 8-footer and they miss and tap it in. So let's say on average, maybe about 32 putts total. But the key to getting this data is absolutely contextual. So one of the issues where people hit 9, even if they hit 9 different putts on the putting green, there's very little space between those putts. So you hit your first 9-foot putt or 8-foot putt or 10-foot putt, you capture the data, you move, you hit your next one, you capture the data. The brain has readily available information from the previous putt. You more
That's what I
accurately.
really loved about when we talked about this. So the different steps, the different approach that we have with ultimately the same goal, right? But performing better during a competition or a round of golf. And that is something that I really liked. I was I mean, we're in lockdown now, of course, but that is definitely something that I'm going to try and change when I have that basic assessment. Probably not the possibility with the putting green next to the driving range, but at least play the 1 putt, have them play a chip or a bunker shot or whatever, and then come back to the 2nd putt, have them play another 40-meter pitch or a 40-yard pitch, whatever, and then come back. It will take a little bit more time, but I really hear what you're saying. That would make that first assessment even more valuable. So and then you take it out of the technical part and like you said, a more contextual situation. So yeah, definitely. If you're talking about building technique or talking about how do players perform, there's different ways of approaching how you assess, how you make a first assessment or a follow-up assessment with a player. And you know, the beauty of what I think of Capto is whatever approach you choose, Capto fits, right? It even if you still believe that your first assessment should be a baseline assessment on a perfectly flat indoor green with no wind and no undulations and 10 times the exact same putt on the exact same lie, even if you still think that is the best way to go, awesome, then you can still use the Capto, right? And you're on the other side of the spectrum, you take them out on the course right away. For me, that would probably be a 2nd or a 3rd step.